Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. Thanks and praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with whose mercy and leave we are able to perform everything that is good, and who protects us from whatever is undesirable. And his salutations be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through whom we received the guidance and Allah's mercy, and we learned the difference between right and wrong. In the previous session, we discussed how other communities in the world celebrate their events, their special days. How do they show their love and affection for their faith and for the founders of their faiths? And we also discussed that whether Muslims are just like another community, another faith, just like the previous faiths, and whether it would be befitting that we copy and mimic their behavior and bring that into our lives, and whether that would be acceptable or whether it would be unacceptable. We know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is not just another prophet, but he is the last of the messengers. He is the last prophet, and he is the best of mankind. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. If he is best of the mankind, then his nation is best of the nations, best of people. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ. So we have certain duties and responsibilities. We will, inshallah, discuss further how are we expected to behave, and whether Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us guidance, how we should show our love, how do we spend our life, how should we behave, whether we have guidance in every aspect and every sphere of our lives. And indeed we have. We should look into that and see how we are expected to behave to celebrate great events like the month of Rabi Awwal, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's final mercy, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was born. It is an occasion of great joy and happiness. The question is, there is no doubt that every Muslim feels that it is a great occasion for joy and happiness, but the point under discussion is how to show and express ourselves, how to express our joyness and our happiness. The expression of joy and happiness is under question, not that we are all pleased and we are all happy and we are all appreciative. It is part of our faith that we should love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam beyond anything in the world, even beyond our own persons. So our love is not under question. Every Muslim, doesn't matter where they are in the world, doesn't matter which era they were born in, we say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That is a confirmation that the most important personality in the world for us is the person of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is under question is, how must we perform our duties? How must we express our love and affection for the final mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his person, his birth, his message, and the religion of Islam that he brought for us. The Islam, the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted for us. It was completed, and the guidance was completed by Muhammad Rasulullah sallam, and its announcement was made on 9th of Zil-Hijjah in the 10th of Hijri, on the occasion of Hajj, which is also called the farewell Hajj, and the farewell sermon was given on that occasion. In the final sermon, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told us that Shaitan, our enemy, from the first day of creation, when Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was created, it was most displeasing to Shaitan. He is our arch enemy. He vowed that he will misguide human beings. And he is carrying out his threat. He has carried out his threat throughout the ages, and it will continue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him leave, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is confident that those who are obedient servants to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will be able to differentiate between righteousness and the wrong. They will reject Shaitan. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told in the final sermon that the Shaitan has given up, he has lost hope that he would be able to misguide the believers, the Muslims, on major matters. So Shaitan will not be able to misguide us on major matters. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, safeguard the minor matters. Shaitan will now try to misguide us in minor matters. And amongst those minor matters is that if we perform an act of worship, if we do something good, he will try to influence us that we perform it in a way which is contaminated, which is not the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is not the correct way according to the message of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He guided Sahaba Kiram, the companions, and he also purified their hearts through his blessed personality, through his company, and those who lived in his time, they are given special title. They are his companions, Sahaba Kiram, and they have the good news. Radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became pleased with them, and they became pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have a special status. So now the question is, in the context of Rabiul Awwal, how can Shaitan contaminate? He cannot convince us that we should not love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's a major matter. But he will say, love the Prophet the same way as other communities before us, such as Christians and the Jews and the fire worshippers of Persia and the Hindus of India and the Buddhists and the other communities. We should copy the same ways and the same methods by which they celebrate their events. We should carry on and do the same thing. That would be belittling the position of Muhammad Rasulullah sallam. That would be acknowledging that we are the same as other nations. The other nations were in earlier times and we are in the current time. It would be denying the fact that we are the final nation, the last ummah. We are the people of the last of the messengers. There are no more messengers to come. This message of Muhammad Rasulullah sallam will last until the day of judgment. This world will finish, but the mercy of Muhammad Rasulullah sallam and the guidance he brought will not disappear. It will remain until the day of judgment. It will remain till the last day. Another commandment that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave, the final sermon, is full of mercy, is full of guidance, is full of pearls of beauty and wisdom, that if anybody reads it 1,000 times, he will still enjoy. It will not be the same old message. The message has layers within layers. It tells us how beautiful Islam is. It tells us what is the meaning that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mercy to the worlds. One enjoys the beauty of the words of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The final sermon, the farewell sermon, is a beautiful world of literature, of guidance, divine guidance, a guide to the mankind. So one other commandment Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in the final words of his farewell message, the farewell sermon. He says, take this message forward. Those who could not be present here today, pass this message to them. This is a very deep instruction. Those who could not be present here today, that means those people who were present, who were alive at that time, but they could not come to perform the Hajj with Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There were approximately 124,000 people present in the vast field of Arafat who performed the Hajj with Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The place was full. The same scene that we see today. When Hajj day comes, 9th of Zil-Hijjah, we see that the plain of Arafat is full of people dressed in white, two white sheets, one on top, one at the bottom. And the aerial view shows it's all white, with tents, with people. Similarly, it was covered with large number of people in the presence of the mercy of Allah, mercy to the mankind, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he performed his Hajj and also delivered the sermon, the farewell sermon, he said, take this message to those who could not be present here today. This included the people of his time who could not be present there that day, and also people who were not born yet, who were to come in later times, in later eras. So it is our duty to obey and say yes to that commandment. If we have to take this message to those people who could not be present on that day, then we have to become missionaries and we have to become servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and servants to Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his ummah, his nation, his people, and his missionaries. This message we have to take is not only to the Muslims. Remember, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mercy to the worlds. If we live and next door to us lives a non-Muslim, then it is our duty that we make sure that our neighbor knows that there was a person called Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was mercy to the mankind, and he is beneficiary. He is an equal beneficiary of that mercy and that blessing. How do we do that? We can only do that by becoming a good neighbor. So I request that everybody who has an opportunity to live in a community where non-Muslims are present, then we should try to become true followers of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In our persons, we should adapt. We should become true Muslims. People should be able to see that we are honest, we are good people, we are good human beings, and they should be able to see through us the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's person. This is a huge and grand undertaking. But this is what the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were trying to achieve. Nobody can achieve that because we can only try. But this try is the expression of our faith and our love. If we perform salah like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if we do trade like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if we uphold righteousness like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then people will see the truth that Muhammad Rasulullah SAW was mercy to mankind. This is not impossible. This has been done before. The companions, wherever in the world they went, people were impressed. People asked them who they are. People asked questions about their leader. And they introduced Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The king of Habsha, he became Muslim through meeting Muslims. Actually, not only seeing Muslims, but he also met the mushrikeen of Mecca. The first hijrah to Habsha took place, and then Kuffar sent a delegation after them so that they could go to the king and tell them that these people have left our community, they should be returned to us. They are trying to create disturbance. They are being unfair to our community. They are deserters, and they should be taken as criminals. The king of Habsha was a just man. He said, okay, you have brought a request and we shall investigate. He asked them questions. He said, tell me about the leader. Whom do they follow? Is he honest? Are most of his followers from poor people? Are his instructions and is his guidance asking people to perform good? What are his characteristics? Is he from a noble background? What is his family like? What has been his past? He has a good character? Has he got a good reputation? After he heard answer to all these questions, the mushrikeen of Makkah could not say one bad thing about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they could not prove their allegation that these Muslims are deserters from Mecca. So he gave them sanctuary. Not only he gave them sanctuary, he became a Muslim by himself. This has been done before. People, the traders in later times, now let's move forward from companions. The traders in later times who went to the Far East, to Malaysia and to Indonesia, they were not missionaries as such. They were not professional missionaries. They were just practicing Muslims. They went to those faraway lands to promote their business, their trade. They took stuff which they sold to people in faraway lands. They bought materials from faraway lands and they brought them to the Middle East. This was their job. This was their livelihood. But when people saw their honesty in the Far East, when people saw their behavior, they were so impressed, they said, these people are not human beings, they are angels from heavens. So if Muslims can behave in the past in such a way that their presence, their personalities can persuade people that they are the followers of the mercy to the worlds, they are the followers of Muhammad Rasulullah SAW, they are the followers of the one who is best of mankind, who is mercy to the worlds, then my brothers, if it is expected from us that we should behave in the same way and we should take forward this message of Muhammad Rasulullah SAW, it is not something which is beyond our means. It is not something unreasonable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not put burden upon any soul beyond its capabilities. So we are expected to be the missionaries. We are expected to be the ambassadors of Islam. Ambassadors of Islam to our neighbors, ambassadors to Islam to our communities, ambassadors of Islam to the world at large. Through our behavior, through our adherence to the tenets of Islam, to the principles of Islam, to the requirements of our faith, Islam, that would be sufficient for us to be seen by the world as ambassadors of Islam. If we are honest and sincere in our efforts, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge us with kindness on the day of judgment, and we shall, inshallah, we shall be successful. On the other hand, if we just behave in this world in the same manner as the non-Muslims do, then unfortunately we would not be able to present ourselves as the followers of the best of mankind or the best of nations, which we are expected to be, which we learn through the holy book, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrajat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa yanhauna 'anil munkar. So let us show the world that we love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he is mercy to the mankind, and his mercy benefits everybody. Because Islam promotes fairness and justice. We have been created, as a nation, we have been created and raised for the service of mankind. Through us, people should appreciate and should be able to recognize that by ignoring Islam, they are not going in the positive direction. Instead, what they are trying to achieve is not achievable. Dominance in the world will not bring good to neither to them nor to the oppressed nations. On the other hand, if there is fairness and justice in this world, then everybody will do good, get a fair reward for their effort. The resources in this world are not short, they are sufficient for the whole of mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created enough resources, enough food, and enough materials that everybody can be well off. By robbing the poor nations of their resources in the hope that they will be able to improve their lives, their standards of living standards, is a false hope. This world and its civilization is nearing collapse. The only way of saving ourselves is to believe in fairness and the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we learn through the Quran, and the teachings of Muhammad Rasulullah that we learn through the tradition of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that will save, that will definitely save and can save the world, and that is the truth. Let us hold fast to this truth. Let us take this message to every human being in the world. Let us try to convince them. If we convince everybody that Islam is a final message, it has all the answers to man's needs. If we can bring all human beings to accept that if Islam is allowed to be practiced in the world, or at least in some parts of the world, it will bring enough blessing that it will improve the living standards, it will improve our prospects as human beings, as creatures on this earth. We are the viceroy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. Viceroy obeys what the master has commanded. We do not invent our own ways. If we think that by following other nations, by celebrating our love for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a way that our vain desires encourage us to, then we are obeying Shaitan, our arch enemy, who is trying to confuse us, who is trying to interfere in our minor matters and lead us astray. So safeguard your minor matters. This is the message of Muhammad Rasulullah, and take this message to the mankind. Take this message to those who could not be present for whatever reason on that day and could not hear from the Messenger of Mercy the final sermon. They could not hear the words of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on that Hajj day, 9th of Dhul Hajj. We have a duty to continue to pass on this message and take this message to those who were not present on that day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us true followers of Muhammad Rasulullah, make us true Muslims, give us the true understanding of Islam, make us ability to bring that message into our lives and reflect in our behavior and in our personalities what a true Muslim should be, and take this message of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, mercy to the world, to the whole world, the world of men, because man is viceroy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us able followers and ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and be able to perform our duty as it is expected of us. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and make us good people, good to our neighbors, good to other nations, good to the world. Let us establish Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, or let us try to establish Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy in this world as we are expected, through the love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the love for the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and through the love of Islam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.